Good evening, I'm Katerina Georgieva. This is CBC Windsor News. Thanks for being with us. Here are your top stories. City leaders are at odds about how to handle homeless encampments. Plus, a mystery search. Windsor police dispatch a K-9 unit and a drone in an investigation off Walker Road, but remain tight-lipped about what they are looking for. And money flows for Windsor's Peace Fountain. Let's begin tonight with a look at whether or not a clause in Canada's charter should be used to allow municipalities to clear homeless encampments. There are two opposing opinions on Windsor City Council. Dalson Chen has more.
It's known as the notwithstanding clause. Section 33 of the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms allows federal or provincial legislatures to deviate from certain sections of the charter. Once invoked, the clause means legislated actions are not obstructed by court decisions. Court decisions like the one last year, when an Ontario Superior Court ruled that the municipality of Waterloo could not use its bylaws to dismantle a homeless encampment. Windsor's Ward 9 City Councillor Kieran McKenzie does not believe dealing with encampments should involve violating charter rights. He's supporting a coalition of more than 70 municipal councillors across the province. They're urging Premier Doug Ford not to use the notwithstanding clause on this issue.
Will the thing that you're proposing to do improve the circumstance that you're trying to improve? And I think in this case, the answer is a categorical no. If you disband an encampment without appropriate services or a place for people to go, what will happen with that encampment is it'll reemerge in another place. So in my view, the proposal is essentially legalizing a leaf blowing operation that will not help to solve your problem.
McKenzie's position is the exact opposite of Windsor's mayor. Drew Dilkins is one of at least 15 mayors who have signed a letter encouraging the Premier to invoke the notwithstanding clause.
Give us authority to deal with encampments because I'm trying to prevent happening here what I see happening in other communities across Ontario. Other mayors are feeling very powerless in terms of dealing with massive encampments in their cities in multiple parks. There are cities where they have 12 entire city parks taken over by encampments that they don't feel they have the capacity to deal with or remove. And they feel bound by the court that has made a decision that now has basically set the law in Ontario.
McKenzie says he'll be bringing this up with the AMO, the Association of the Municipalities of Ontario. Dalson Chen, CBC News, Windsor.
A substantial police investigation is taking place off Walker Road. Officers are methodically searching the area. Now, while the police presence is sizable, the information about what they're doing is slim. Dale Molnar reports.
Windsor police are combing a vacant lot in the Ford City area. It's part of an active investigation. What they are looking for remains a mystery, but police could be seen searching a lot at St. Luke Road and Edna Street in the morning on foot. A drone and the K-9 unit were also brought in. Police would not say what led them to the search area. Constable Andy Southers would only say they are searching for evidence as part of a criminal investigation.
But they're going to be utilizing K-9 for the search, and they're doing something called the grid search so that they're able to, make sure that they're covering every inch of space that is necessary for the investigation and just, the most efficient and effective way to complete these searches.
Police say they are searching an area bounded by Richmond Street, Walker Road, Edna Street, and St. Luke Road. Property manager Sasha Dillon says the owners of the property where the search was being conducted Monday morning are surprised by the police investigation.
We have no information other than we are cooperating fully with Windsor Police. They asked to be on premises this morning and have been there for a few hours.
Police stress there is no threat to public safety. Police say they may be on scene here for the next 2 days, and the investigation may result in some road closures. Dale Molnar, CBC News, Windsor.
Transit Windsor is facing a revenue deficit of more than $500,000 this financial quarter. And according to a city report, the shrinking use of the tunnel bus is partly to blame. Ward 9 Councillor Kieran McKenzie is the vice chair of Transit Windsor's board of directors. He says it's worth reviewing the service given the budget pressures facing the city.
It's a nice thing for residents who want to leverage it, but now looking at these numbers and considering all of the other budget pressures, there's going to be a very serious discussion about the extent to which that the municipality can continue to deliver that service in the way that it's delivering it currently.
Colette Kennedy is now with us for a quick look at weather. Colette, gray, but not too cold today. I was able to go outside. How's it looking into the evening?
Yeah, we're really seeing those temperatures on the milder side. I mean, making it to double digits, up to 10 degrees. And in fact, we'll hold on to some of that warmth at least until we get past midnight. So at least upper single digits. And then things will start to change up a little bit. We'll find that temperature sliding to about 5 degrees, the winds picking up, and then the temperature staying nearly steady with some rain showers moving through from time to time until we start to get some clearing late tomorrow afternoon. More details coming up.
Thanks, Colette. We'll check back in with you later.
These flames coming from the cab of a truck on the Ambassador Bridge have reignited concerns about hazardous materials inside of trucks using the international crossing.
I think this small fire shows that that structure is not capable of proper spill containment.
Windsor's fire department put the flames out relatively quickly. No one was hurt, no hazardous materials on board, but Windsor's mayor says it's an example of why what's allowed to cross the bridge should have never been loosened, that those regulations shouldn't change. He's not worried about the bridge collapsing. He's worried about the Detroit River, Windsor's fresh water source.
20 to 30 liters of material went into the river as a function of that particular fire. There was no containment.
We asked the Ambassador Bridge about this. They didn't respond. Dilkins says the spill was not contained on the bridge and that it leaked into the Detroit River. That's where containment started, on the water itself.
And none of us want to see a fire on the Ambassador Bridge that involves what happened last week or something with hazardous materials. It would be bad for our drinking water and bad for the Detroit River as a whole.
For months, the provincial and federal governments have pointed at each other, saying that the other was in charge of regulating the crossing, all while Michigan loosened those regulations to allow new types of hazardous materials to cross the border.
They have a federal International Bridges and Tunnels Act, and if the regulation isn't immediately at their disposal, they have the power to create regulation that would prohibit vehicles carrying hazardous goods from crossing the Ambassador Bridge.
Canada's transportation minister has met with Michigan's governor and raised Windsor's concerns. The transportation minister's office tells me that they're urging Ontario to do the opposite of what Michigan just did. So Michigan loosened regulations on state roads that they control to allow for the movement of hazardous materials. They want Ontario to do the opposite, tighten regulations on Huron, Church, and Wyandotte. We asked the province about this. They said that's not something they could do. That's up to the municipality. Chris Hensing, CBC News, Windsor.
After much debate, deliberation, and time, the city has decided on how to replace the Charlie Brooks Memorial Peace Fountain. Today, Council approved a $10 million plan. The money will pay for a new floating fountain, and it will be similar to what people saw at Rion Park for 45 years. The old fountain was pulled from the water after it started to fall apart. Staff are working on a way to use the old fountain in a respectful way, which could include assembling the fountain into new pieces of art put in parks across Windsor. Its replacement likely won't be ready until spring of 2027.
I'm Katerina Georgieva, the host of the 6 o'clock news, and I am here speaking with Tony Vo. Tony is from Windsor, and he's marking 25 years in Canada with a brand new book. So, Tony, tell me about this new book.
So the book is called Memory Lane. I released it through Amazon, so it's a self-published book through Amazon. So this book is basically a coffee table book of the photography and art that I have worked on over the last 10 years of my life. I've started photography back in 2015, trying to learn a brand new skill. And I thought to myself, you know what? The best way to actually celebrate my 25th anniversary here in Canada is to be able to just put everything that I've learned and everything that I have captured into this brand new book to share with the world.
So the book is full of photos from across Canada, but most of the photos you took in Windsor, Essex. Can you tell me about some of your favorite photos?
I remember taking a walk by myself and I just saw how beautiful the sky was. It was a very pink orange kind of sky. It was out over the top of my elementary school, and I was like, you know what, this is such a phenomenal like picture to be able to take. So using I had to run back to my house and then got my camera and took the photo. It was one of the most coolest photos I've ever taken, I would say, during the pandemic.
So since we are celebrating your 25th anniversary of coming to Canada, can you share with us your immigration story?
Yeah, that's actually something I'm very proud about. So I came here from Vietnam. So I immigrated from Vietnam on November 15th, 1999. So 25 years is like crazy in my mind. I came here and I was 3 years old. Being a new immigrant during that time, my mother and I were the only, my mother and I remember how crazy that day was, even though I was 3 years old. I just remember just the rush of going to the airport in Vietnam to fly over to Canada and meeting my father for the first time since I was born. Meeting him and being able to, and I was living in Windsor the entire time as a permanent resident. And then I remember before I turned 18, I finally got my Canadian citizen. So I remember going into my art classroom with my art teacher, and I remember screaming at her, "I'm finally a Canadian citizen after so many years." It was a very, very proud moment of mine. Windsor, Essex has had a huge impact on me since I was younger until now. Even though now that I moved to Toronto, I still see Windsor as my home. And it's just the memories, the lessons, the life, the challenges, everything that's really big and major in my life has started in Windsor. And it's something that I will forever going to carry with me. But I also tell people about it. Like, this all started in Windsor. Like, I wouldn't be here without Windsor, Essex.
Black Friday is still a few days away, but the big sales marking the start of the holiday shopping season are already well underway. And like every year, concern is growing about the amount of new clothing that ends up in the garbage. According to a study from the University of Waterloo, Canadians trash roughly 500 million kilograms of clothing a year. But as CBC's Paula Duhatschek explains, some businesses are trying to make a dent in the problem.
This Calgary business fixes about 10,000 jackets and sweaters every year.
We're trying to keep gear out of the landfill and keep it in circulation longer.
A philosophy more brands are adopting, appealing to customers who don't want their clothes to end up in the trash. Retailers like Arc'teryx offering to fix customers' damaged clothes, and Converse launching a collection of upcycled sneakers.
This is definitely a direction that we want to see the industry going.
But some countries have decided it's not enough to let businesses take the lead on reducing waste. Instead, they're making brands take action, charging companies an extended producer responsibility, or EPR fee, for every garment they sell.
It gives some funding to manage the product once it arises as waste, so it's less of an environmental impact.
This expert says programs might also give brands a discount when their clothes are more durable or easier to recycle.
So it incentivizes producers in various ways to make their products more circular.
California recently approved its own EPR policy for textiles. Rules are also becoming common in Europe and could soon be mandatory in all EU countries. Advocates in Canada are watching closely, but warn this country has a ways to go.
There is not really, there is no national program, right, or harmonization really across the provinces. And so that can cause, some unintended consequences or unnecessary financial burdens, which could be passed on to the consumers.
Repair shop owner Russell McPherson likes this policy, but says it's not the only solution.
I would like more people to be thinking about buying quality and making it last as long as possible.
He'd like to see both retailers and customers think about their clothes in the long term. Paula Duhatschek, CBC News, Calgary.
Here at CBC Windsor, we are launching our holiday campaign. It's called Make the Season Kind. The goal is all about helping those who are experiencing food insecurity in our community, and we want your help. Just head to our website and look for this banner. It has details on the various ways that you can participate. And as part of the campaign, we are heading to Bright Lights December 5th. We're going to be at Jackson Park to live broadcast our show and to collect donations for our food drive. Can't wait to meet you there. Stay with us. After the break, we will have more national news for you. Stay with us. Welcome back. A UN report says last year, on average, 140 women or girls were killed every day by an intimate partner or family member. The report comes on a day marking International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women. It's prompted some Canadian politicians to renew calls to declare intimate partner violence an epidemic. Katie Nicholson reports.
We'll ask members to please rise.
A House united in silence to recognize violence against women, but very much divided on declaring it an epidemic.
It is an epidemic. Will the Premier do the right thing once and for all? No more studies, no more committees. Declare it an epidemic and do the right thing today.
The opposition NDP seizing upon this International Day of Action to renew pressure on the Ford government to push a stalled bill forward, which would declare an intimate partner violence epidemic. Ford didn't directly answer criticisms about the declaration delay.
I have 4 daughters, and anyone ever touch my daughters, it'd be the worst day of their lives.
The opposition says that's just more spin.
This is larger than Doug Ford's family. This is about the thousands of women and children across Ontario who don't have a member of provincial parliament or a premier as a dad, who need support.
In Ottawa, more appeals to politicians to take action on gun and coercive control legislation from survivors and their family members like Brian Sweeney.
My daughter was a beautiful soul.
Whose daughter Angie was murdered by her ex last year.
The new laws need to be enforced now. They will help stop women and children from being murdered by domestic and intimate partner gun violence in their homes where they should be safe.
It's not just Canada. Women took to the streets across the world today to vent their anger.
The United Nations aimed to eliminate violence against women by 2030, but in the last year, reports suggest that the number of women and girls killed by partners and family members increased by more than 6% globally. Numbers that suggest this is a growing problem. Katie Nicholson, CBC News, Toronto.
A couple from Victoria is going public after WestJet tried to silence their efforts to seek compensation. Experts say it's a growing and troublesome trend. CBC's Erica Johnson has the story.
We should do another of these cruises.
Russell and Anna Gurney pore over a photo book, a memento from a San Diego cruise they almost missed. WestJet canceled their flight, rebooked them on another flight leaving 2 days later.
Accepting that itinerary meant we would have missed the cruise ship.
The couple found tickets on an Air Canada flight that would get them to San Diego on time, but they were $1,500 more. So they filed a claim with WestJet for compensation. When the airline refused, the Gurneys took their case to small claims court. Soon they were dealing with a lawyer for WestJet, posted correspondence on a Facebook group for air passengers. When the law firm discovered the post, a lawyer asked Gurney to take it down and said WestJet's withdrawing its settlement offer for sharing what it called confidential settlement discussions.
You're an average person going up against a legal firm that represents a huge airline.
The founder of that air passenger website says he's troubled by a growing trend. Airlines trying to silence passengers seeking compensation.
They're trying to intimidate passengers. They want to make you feel that they're doing you a favor by paying what is owed to you anyway.
Even disputes handled by the regulator are shrouded in secrecy. When WestJet damaged Tim Rogers' bag and refused to pay replacement costs, he took the case to the regulator, won, and posted the CTA's decision to that Facebook group. Then he got a call from the regulator telling him that decision can't be made public.
It sounds like they're trying to make it easier for the airlines.
Full CTA decisions used to be posted online, but legislative changes last year made most details confidential.
I think it violates the Charter, I think it's probably unconstitutional, and that's the real source of the problem here.
A spokesperson for Transport Canada said the new rules make settling disputes more efficient. As for WestJet, it told Go Public it was following the rules, and in the end it did settle with the Gurneys, but to get their money, made them sign a non-disclosure agreement. Erica Johnson, CBC News, Vancouver.
When we come back, Paula Kennedy will join us once again for more on your weather. Stay with us. Colette Kennedy is back now for a bigger look at our weather forecast. Colette, earlier we talked about these milder conditions. Earlier today I went for a stroll. Didn't need a hat, didn't need gloves. I'm enjoying that. So how long is that here to stay?
Yeah, not very long. That's the short answer, Katerina, because we are
keeping it real, Colette.
Yeah, that's what I'm here for, right? Dash everybody's hopes. Yeah, we're up to 10 degrees. Definitely some mild conditions as those winds turn towards the south, but there is some Arctic air headed our way, and I'm just kind of showing you a snapshot of what's happening currently with those temperatures in Western Canada, because they had the snow over the weekend, the prairie provinces, many communities, anywhere from 15 to over 30 centimeters of snow, which is, of course, sticking on the ground when you've got readings like this, some very cold air that is in place. So that Arctic air is going to start working its way eastward. And now through the short term, we'll find some of this filtering into northern Ontario. But as we get towards the end of the week, we're going to find our temperatures really plummeting as well. So do enjoy seeing these single digits here, or double digits, pardon me, at 10 degrees for Windsor and Chatham-Kent, and then getting a little bit cooler as you're passing over towards the Kitchener there, readings dropping down to about 3 degrees. Now, the winds aren't very strong at the moment. It's been more about the direction of where they've been coming from with helping to push those temps up as we've got a warm front in the area. However, those winds do get stronger through the overnight tonight and through the day tomorrow. We'll find them generally from the west to southwest, and gusting over 50, even at times over 60 kilometers an hour. So strong tonight, but strong through the day tomorrow too. To go along with that, some of these rain showers working their way through. So we'll have periods of rain at times through the overnight tonight, and then even a few showers early tomorrow. But then once this moves on through, we should get some clearing tomorrow afternoon and see some sunshine coming back. Eastern Ontario, freezing rain warning in place, and then looking for snowfall there into northeastern Ontario, 5 to 15 centimeters, where that cooler air is in place I was mentioning. So yeah, the system's close to us, and that's what's going to really whip up the atmosphere and why it will be so breezy. But there's some of that clearing I'm hoping to see for us as we get into those latter hours tomorrow afternoon. Now, lake effect snows, yes, those will start up around Georgian Bay because of the strong winds and that cooler air. We're not worrying about that yet, but as we get a little deeper into this week, that's when we start to see perhaps some mixed precipitation as we go into Thursday, flurries into Friday. I mean, check out these temperatures. The overnight reading's pretty chilly in there too.
So when we hear sunshine tomorrow, we're going to look for it.
Yes, that's right. Enjoy it while it's here.
Thanks, Colette. Good night, everybody.